Hello everybody, welcome back, and I am TheChornick, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about the top 3 games of 2018. Yes, so one of my New Year's resolutions was to finally get back into YouTube, hopefully, fully, in full throttle, instead of taking months break at a time as I was in the past couple months. I was pretty busy, so I had some excuse, but I really want to make it a goal to fully get back and functioning in YouTube. So we like to start off the whole year with the best games of 2018. Since we're now moving into 2019, and I played a lot of games. I bought a lot of games during 2018, but these are my personal favorite 3 games, and I'll also give an honorable mention as well. As you guys could probably already see what the honorable mention is, which is Tomb Raider. I'll just kind of showcase that here. Overall, I'm a huge Tomb Raider fan. It kind of gets the honorable mention spot here. It didn't make it quite into the top 3, but, just because the top 3, in my opinion, were better, they were just more complete, they were, they had, like, their own ideas, and they were just a better game. I couldn't put this one in there. It might have made it if it was its own unique story, but to me, Tomb Raider just fell a little flat in regards to the fact that it felt like a repetitive story, where it still had, you facing Trinity, and you're facing something that should be dead but it's not, and you're saying some civilization that should not be there. That's happened in the past 2 games, and like it just felt like, it's the same thing. There's the undead Japanese warriors, there's the undead knights, and then now you have like this undead hags, right, that you face in Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And then you're also still facing Trinity in every single one. It just felt like it was kind of a repeated, like, main plot. I mean, it was unique in its own sense in various aspects, and I like how much of the research they do and stuff when going into these games and making the tombs and stuff, and that's all always cool. It's still a good game, still a solid game. It could have been more. It could have been more unique. And I felt like this story was even shorter than the past 2. So that's where I feel like it could have really been something. I even bought the whole Lara Croft edition too, like, cause I'm a huge Tomb Raider fan, so like I bought the whole thing. I was expecting so much, since this one is apparently going to be the last one, or one of the last ones. So obviously I think Lara Croft should get another game, obviously get another Tomb Raider game, because this one for me fell flat a little bit. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't up there in top 3. So that's all I have to say about Tomb Raider. But let's, ladies and gentlemen, move on to the top 3. So number 3, who gets it? Well, that is SpiderMan. So SpiderMan was exclusively for PS4, which I have, right? The PS4 is what I mostly play. SpiderMan had a really good story. It really brought me back into my nostalgic days of playing Spider-Man 2 and on the PS2, and that game was freaking amazing. So I had to buy this game, especially since how good the graphics were, etc., the combat system, the swinging. I had to get this game, and not only is that whole aspect cool and the graphics are cool and amazing, but the story's really, really, really good as well. And the touch of adding all those villains and all that action is what really drove this game to being in the top 3. Not in the top 1 or 2, but in the top 3, one of the best games of the year. Spider-Man definitely deserved it, and it was just like the fact that it also grabbed my nostalgia from, Spider-Man 2, also helped it increase on this list as well. But the only thing I say that keeps it from going higher up on this list is the fact that besides the main story, it has a couple nice side missions, but everything else you could kind of get through it really, really quickly, and like there's not really much else that's too interesting, because the main story is really, really interesting. It's really, really awesome. So anything outside the main story, it kind of falls like greatly, like in regards to your like interest in like action and everything. It's not as good as like the main story. And so I feel like after you do the main story, there's not really much else you kind of want to do. So besides maybe getting back on every now and then to complete a mission, or kick some bad guys' butts or whatever. That's pretty much it in regards to Spider-Man. But Spider-Man makes the top 3. Alright, so for number 2, God of War. Okay, so God of War is the next on this list. God of War had a really, really great story. I've never played a God of War game before. Okay, so this was my first ever God of War game. But I absolutely loved it. I loved the main story, the graphics, the characters. This game really made me enjoy Norse mythology. It made me wanted to like look up all this different information about it. Like it got me into like all that history and stuff. And I think that's pretty cool that a game could teach you so much about Norse mythology, or get you interested in it. Get you interested in these various religions and gods and ancient whatever history and knowledge and stuff like that, and makes you like learn about it almost. So I think I give a huge pat on the back for God of War for doing stuff like that, even though it has its own spin, its own little take on it. Kratos is a pretty freaking awesome guy. He's the freaking God of War. He can't be killed. He's amazing. And, like, the combat is just incredible. Like, I love the combat. The story is pretty awesome and amazing, but just like SpiderMan, it doesn't really get higher up on this list because there's not really too much to do after like the main story. Like it's just like and plus it's like more of a linear path than it is like an open world. It's like a linear open world. It's a great story, but most of the points in the story are kind of forgettable. There's only a few moments that I felt like that really stood out that I remember, and most of it has to do with Kratos and his son, and then Freya and her son, and then you end up killing Baldur, there we go, in the end, and then after that you go and release your mother's ashes and stuff, and that whole aspect of it, I feel like you should have known the mother ahead of time, because the initial goal of like going through that whole journey just to throw your mother's ashes off this side of the mountain, like, it didn't seem much of a goal at first, because like we only wanted to do it because we felt for Kratos and we felt for Atreus, obviously, because we know them, right? And we want to honor the people they loved because we love those characters. But if we knew the mother, then I think the story would have been a little bit better. Plus, I think that it's just the fact that that's all they were doing. It was, I mean, they ended up encountering various characters, which was nice. But I feel like it fell flat a little bit, which doesn't make it further on this list. But it was definitely better than like SpiderMan in regards to the fact that it was a lot more interesting in terms of combat. A lot of the really challenging too. SpiderMan wasn't that challenging, even on the harder difficulties. But God of War definitely was. All the like different worlds you get to go to and stuff, instead of just Midgard or whatever. Like. It was just an overall great game, great soundtrack, etc. But that's why it just makes it number 2 on my list. And for number 1, you may guess it, is Red Dead Redemption 2. So Red Dead, this game was freaking amazing. I don't like the online though. The online kind of sucks, but the main story, the main game, is pretty dang good. And so, like, the whole story, like, all these are story-based. Tomb Raider, Spider-Man, God of War, freaking Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, you could tell, like, I really, really like story-based games. And so, and plus it's open world, and there's, like, so much to do, and, like, there's a huge map, and you can, ride around your horse anywhere, and, it really makes you explore the world, and the graphics are just amazing, and it tops off with an amazing story which is really, really long, which is the longest story I think on this list. Red Dead Redemption 2 just goes and goes and goes and goes. But the missions are so interesting, and like the side missions are alright, okay, but like again, like Spider-Man and God of War, like the main story is what takes the cake. But the story is just long. Like it keeps going, and it keeps like it really gives you worth your, dollar with your $60 and stuff to purchase this game. It's really worth it. And so that's why it ends up coming to being about, the number 1 spot of the games I've played in 2018, the games that I think are the best. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 definitely deserves the number 1 spot. It was good soundtrack, okay? I think God of War has a little bit better one, better soundtrack, but in regards to story, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 definitely takes the cake. And so does its, open world and graphics, are right up there as well. So, good job for Red Dead Redemption 2. It gets my number 1 spot on the list. Thanks, guys, for watching. Post in the comment section below your top 3, your top 5, if you have a lot of games that you've played and stuff like that. post it in the comment section below, or some honorable mentions or whatever that you would give up there as well. Because I know, like, I mainly play on the PS4, but some of you other people might play on like the Xbox and get some exclusives there, or like Nintendo. I'm sure some of you might have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, probably, if you play Nintendo a lot. But for this list, I had obviously Tomb Raider, which is the honorable mention spot. Then we have SpiderMan, God of War, and Red Dead Redemption 2. Those are my favorites this year. 2018. Thanks guys for watching. I love your faces. Can't wait to see you in the next one. Hopefully we can get back into the swing of things. And post in the comment section below any video ideas you have and stuff is very much appreciative. Thanks guys for watching. I love your faces. Can't wait to see you next one. Peace off. Thank you very much.